Does your skirt look great in the front, but when you turn to the side, rides up in the back, it's too short, or it just doesn't hang right? This is a common problem for sewers, and I come across this all the time. I struggle to find a solution. I'll let you know the 3 ways that I fix this problem on my patterns to make my hem look the same the entire way around. So let's dive in. So why does your hem pull up or ride up in the back? It just drove me crazy for so long trying to understand why all my skirts did this. I finally figured out it's because when you have a fuller rear end, the fabric has a longer way to go to cover that area. And so it takes it away from the bottom or pulls up the bottom of your hem. The main reason for that typically is that your darts in the back do not have enough room. So you need to make bigger darts in the back so it allows that more space in that area you need in your rear section. So the result is that the hem looks shorter in the back. It makes your whole hemline look like it's too long in the front, and it's just not a good look. And all my skirts, when I look in the mirror, I'm constantly tugging them down in the back. It's quite frustrating. I just am not a big fan of it. Now, if this is already making you think, okay, but how do I even adjust darts or seams? Don't worry, I've got a free pivoting darts guide linked below. It's a simple resource to help you understand the darts and how they shape fabric, which is exactly the skill you'll need for today's fixes. Grab it now and follow along. Now, a lot of beginners, including myself, think just add to the bottom at the hem just to make it level. That's exactly what I did at the beginning. I just am like, oh, take my pattern, add to the hem, but you're not fixing the problem. The problem is that the fabric is straining, going over your rear end, the fuller area. You do not have enough room there. So that is causing the problem. So this might, in theory, seem like the solution to just add to the hem, but it does not work because you're not putting the fullness where you need it. And you'll continue to see it riding up in that area because you're not fixing the real problem. So let's start with the simplest solution by creating a back seam on your dress or skirt. So if the back piece is cut on the fold, you just want to not cut it on the fold, and you will just use that fold line as your seam line. And then what you want to do is just take about a quarter or a half an inch off at the waistline at the center back line, and then just taper that into the hip. This is going to take a little away, giving more shaping. You may want to add that same amount into the side seam if you don't have a lot of ease in your waist. So you would add that quarter or a half inch at the side seam, so then your waist remains the same. What this does, it gives you a little shaping in your back area that you have where it goes in, and it gives you just a little bit more room in that back area that you need there. Where the center back is, you don't need it over where the side seam is. Of course, you're going to need to add seam allowance to this, because before, if it was cut in the fold, there was no seam allowance. So add the seam allowance. Then I would cut it out in some sample fabric, try it on, make sure that this does the trick by adding a little bit more ease there in that area. This method gives you a lot of flexibility because you can adjust the amount that you take out there at the center back waist area to fit your curves perfectly. The second solution, and I guess it will depend on where most of your fullness lies, is by deepening the darts in the back of your skirt at the waist. So typically, a lot of commercial patterns will have the same dart intake in the front as the back, and that is, in my opinion, like usually a big mistake. Unless you have a very straight up and down figure, you typically need more dart intake in the back. In my sloper, I actually have 2 darts in the back on each side, so 4 darts in total, and only 2 darts in the front. That way it gives me more dart intake and gives me more shaping to go over the rear. That is the fullest part. My front is a little bit straighter, so I don't need as much fullness in the front. So what I would do is, if you want to adjust the darts instead of the center back seam, you think of how much you want to add in, depending how much of extra ease you need to add. So let's just say you want to add in a 1/2 inch to your darts. You will do that, and then you make your darts bigger there, and then you add that back to the side seam, because you don't want to shorten your overall waist. Otherwise your waist would be too small. And when you add that into the side seam, and then you're just going to blend that into the hip area, and that gives you that little extra room that you need down to the hip. And of course, again, you want to sew it up in a muslin to test the fit to see if this works. And this works just like the first one, because you're not making your waist smaller. You're just redistributing the added shaping from the side to the either at where the darts go down or the center back seam. You're distributing that fullness to that area where you need it the most. You might be wondering, why not just take the dart intake from the front darts and move it around to the back darts? That's typically not a good idea, because it's not that we need less of the shaping in the front. We still need that shaping in the front. We just want to add more shaping to the back. So if we would take the shaping from the front, it would be too shallow. Those darts would definitely be too shallow at that point. And then what happens is, in our tummy area, it starts bunching and like getting too full there, because we don't have enough darts to bring it in, gradually to our waist. And that's why using the side seam to either move that fullness to the darts or the center back is a much stronger technique, where it preserves the dart intake in the front and just adds it to the back. And the third solution is, if you really have a lot of adjustment you need to make, you're not making just a 1/4 or a 1/2 inch adjustment, you need then a full seat adjustment. And in order to do this, you draw a horizontal line about 2 to 3 inches below your full hip line. And then you're going to slash from the side seam over to the side seam, but not through those seams. And then you'll lower the amount, the area by the center back, you'll lower that and open it up by the amount that is being raised. That gives you that added fullness right there where you need it, and so it won't ride up. Then you're going to put a piece of paper to cover that gap, and you want to smooth out your side seams so they again are nice and smooth. Then, of course, as always, test it with the muslin to make sure it fits well. But this is the best solution when you really need to make a lot of adjustments, if you're really seeing it ride up a lot. This method may seem a bit daunting by slashing and spreading, but it really is effective for those that have fuller seats. And if you want to get more practice with darts and shaping, check out this video here. And if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.